Boys are being left behind. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article that was shared to me by a viewer on Twitter, where he was making the joke that, with boys left behind in education, women won't be able to find men of marrying quality, which, well, in reality is certainly quite true. Biologically, there's a difference. Women will tend to marry up. It's just how it is, guys. Just how it is. So, this is from the Sydney Morning Herald. 1 in 5 Year 9 boys are below the minimum writing standard, from the NAP Plan Review. Now, I've reported on this in the past. Back in August of 2019, I did a video about Australia's declining education standard. And in that video, and I'll link to that one above here at the minute mark. In that video, I talked about, well, among other things, this chart. Our ranking for education, the quality of our education here, and this is from UNESCO, is only above Romania and Turkey. So, that's not really where Australia wants to be. Let's look at which country is number 1. If you can guess, number 2 is Malta. Number one, come on. Number 1 is Finland. So we're not doing particularly well. And if we have a look here, just, Australian achievement trends are down in science, maths, and reading. Remember that building education revolution? Looks like the revolution has failed. It looks like it has failed. So for us, there are a lot of concerns with the education sector. I've heard a lot of stories from friends where their boys have just been treated terribly in school, where, well, boys are treated generally as defective girls. Boys learn differently to girls. We're a bit more rambunctious. Our personalities tend to be different. And, that should be taken account in the education sector. But, it's a highly unionized sector, and it's very heavily weighed towards female teachers. So that's part of the reason why we've decided to do our distance ed homeschooling method, because we want to ensure that our son doesn't get disadvantaged because of his gender. Now, we've seen that happen. Rachel saw that happen when she was talking to academics at her sewing guild. One admitting that she gave a benefit to the women and complaining about, the wage gap and all these other things. And Rachel set her straight with a bit of a dose of reality from someone who's actually ran a business and employed people. I think she's a bit of the outlier in that group. So, 1 in 5 boys cannot write well enough by year 9, with experts warning the problem is partly caused by waning interest in reading and could lead to significant problems for boys in their final years of school. Boys are twice as likely to be at or below national minimum standard by age 15 than girls, with the proportion struggling to achieve the benchmark growing from an average of 3.9% of boys in year 3 to 20.6% of boys in year 9. Now here they discuss the main thing is reading, and that's one thing that's been hammered home to us in our education system, in the schooling that we're doing. It could just be that the teacher that we're working with, he's a writer and English teacher at a high school level, and now he's teaching at primary, but it's just the emphasis on reading. Get the kids to read. Once they can read, that opens up the world to them, particularly to self-education. I had one friend who had a lot of trouble reading, and what I'll do is, he found one way really helped him. And I'm going to bring it up here. Let me know if you can guess what it is. What could help a young boy with his reading? And I'll bring it up here. And it was the Phantom comics. The Phantom comics that his father bought for him helped him with his reading. And I had a few of the Phantom comics. It's one of the few comics that I actually enjoyed or followed for some time. I think I bought a reprint of the whole Phantom Goes to War, and they were fantastic. And they're great, great comic. Let me know if you're a fan of any others. I know there's a whole SJW movement in comics, but you don't get it with the old ones. The old ones are still quite good, and this is one way that boys can be encouraged to read. that boys can be encouraged to read. And another thing on my channel, another video I'm going to bring up, and this is an interview I did with, and I'll find it here. This is an interview I did with the principal starting our school. And it was here. I really should, rename it, but it was entitled Saving the Educated Illiterate. And part of this interview with Jason Caldwell, the principal of the school, this is the school that he was building, refurbishing here. Wow, that's 2018. Wow, that's been a long time now. But hearing his story, he had reading problems too. And now he's a teacher running a school, and lots of kids, quite successful. And the school that we're going at is just going gangbusters. And I'll link to his one as well if you're interested in that video up above, because it's a good story, a good, encouraging story, particularly if you've got young boys who are in this situation who are left behind. So in comparison, an average of 1.7% of girls were at or below the minimum standard in Year 3 over the past 12 years of NAPLAN testing, compared with 9% in Year 9, data reported in recent NAPLAN reviews. And see, this is the thing. This is good data. This is good data to try and address some of these issues. How do you get boys more active in reading? Well, another thing, we've said the comics. And for me, one of the things I really liked as a kid was adventure games, a Space Quest. And these are the games where you have to type in commands into the computer. So I've actually bought some old computer games, some old Sierra games, and installed them where you still have to type in the commands for Mina to force her to improve her spelling. And it adds a bit of fun to it. It's an adventure game. Students of both genders in country areas were also struggling, with more than 50% of students in very remote areas at or below the standard. The implicit understanding that students have become reasonably independent in writing by year 10 appears problematic. Well, maybe I need to improve my reading, said the review released on Friday. At a deeper level, if writing is understood to be a key measure through which students learn in all curriculum areas, then the data points to how Year 9 students whose writing is assessed as below national minimum standards are likely to face significant barriers to success in senior schooling. Damon Thomas, a senior lecturer in English education at the University of Tasmania, said there were many questions about the reliability and quality of the NAPLAN writing test, but the disparity between genders was large and consistent. It's such a significant gap, he said. Looking at the scores on the writing test, the greatest predictor is gender. It doesn't matter what schools you're going to or your parents' education. Since the NAPLAN test started, it's your gender. So boys are at a disadvantage. This is a fundamental problem with our education system. It really is. Boys are being left behind. They're being left behind. In high school, you have these pretty drastic gaps. It's important that we think about what might be behind this gap. Boys tend to outperform girls in maths, but that gap was much narrower, Dr. Thomas said. Dr. Thomas said writing was linked to other aspects of literacy, such as reading. We've had this major drop in the interest in reading among children, he said. I don't think you can talk about this without touching on the impact of digital technology and how easy it is for children these days to do other things with their time than sit down and read a book or write a story. This is not a writing in a silo problem. This is a literacy engagement problem. NAPLAN is a bit of a warning sign, but it has far-reaching consequences if we have generations coming through who potentially don't have the skills. Dr. Thomas said, the job of encouraging boys to engage with words did not fall on teachers alone. I think there's got to be a joint solution here, he said. Parents are really going to have to step up as well. Frankly, I think it's completely the parents' responsibility. To be brutally honest, it's the parents' job. It's not the teacher's job. It's the parents' job to help to have an understanding of your children's education. Because, think about it. Think about your teachers, one teacher per 30 kids, and only some of them can just slip through. It can happen. People can get quite far in education and be functionally illiterate. They just slip through the cracks. That's actually what the school that Jason was starting up. It was helping the illiterate. The educated illiterate, I called it. Jennifer Buckingham, the Director of Strategy for reading program Malt Illit, said boys tended to read less than girls, and reading was connected to writing quality. The books children read influence their writing ideas. Spelling also plays a role, as it can be an obstacle to accuracy and fluency, and influence how enjoyable students find writing, as well as the word choices they make. If they have trouble with spelling, they will make simple word choices, Dr. Buckingham said. Parents could help by making sure children get opportunities to read and exposing them to a range of books. Boys like a certain type of book, non-fiction, more so than narrative, and that restricts the sort of ideas they have, Dr. Buckingham said. I know all the books I enjoyed were non-fiction pretty much, and still are. I think in high school there was a book I just read to death, which was pretty much a day-by-day account of world history, and it was fascinating. I don't know where that book is. I think I lost it. Maybe it broke apart. Books are expensive, but there are libraries. No, they're not that expensive. No way. That's not true. You can go to the book fest, and see how cheap books are. What I'll bring up here is some footage from the book fest that I did, and you can see this is from a previous video where I was using the action camera. And thank you to all my patrons who supported me purchasing that equipment. But you can see, this was an event here that happens in once a year in Brisbane, and I'm sure they happen in other parts. But really cheap books, You buy them like 50 cents each, or 10 for nothing. And I got some good books there. And so sure they are expensive, but they can also be cheap. You can access to books online. Is the difference between reading a book on a screen or on paper? That could be as well. But you can get cheap books. Socioeconomic factors shouldn't be a hindrance to making sure kids have books to access. You can go to libraries. I find, there are books there. There are children's books there. I prefer, literally, I would rather go here to, that's my Midas Touch book. I've got to finish that one. I would rather go to the book fest and have a look at, and buy a whole heap of books there than pay the late fees at the library. Maybe that's just my luck or what I'm notoriously like. Dr. Buckingham said teacher librarians in schools were also key to making kids aware of the different reading options. I've got a funny story actually about the librarian at my high school. I was shocked when she told us she had a university education. I was shocked that she had a degree. I'm thinking, I thought it was just like a job you could rock up and do. I didn't realize she actually was university qualified as a teacher. I thought all you do is put books on the shelves. So I got pulled up, I got taken away afterwards to see, what was it, I think the year level teacher, that monitors your year, and he was asking me, you said you're being disrespectful to the librarian. I said, no, I was just honestly surprised that she had a university degree because she just puts books back on shelves. And he burst out laughing. So probably not the best thing. But reading is very good. And we take the kids to the library. Well, when we could, they're all closed now. But there's Project Gutenberg as well for free books. Gutenberg, and you can see, you can download free ebooks. You can print them out if you want. Not many children's books, but classical books. Oh, they've got a new site? I'll have to see. Teacher librarians play a crucial role in widening the reading of all their students, she said. They also have the expertise to select books for the school library, which can engage individual students across a variety of genres and interests. Teacher librarians can also implement strategies across the whole school to develop reading and writing cultures in both primary and high schools. So there we have it, everyone. And this is written by Jordan Baker, and she's the education editor of the Sydney Morning Herald. So interesting. The solution there is, parents need to step up and teacher librarians. I would suggest for boys, looking at comics, looking at ways that you can engage reading with other media as well, just to encourage them to do it. What are your suggestions to help boys with reading? How do you get your boys into reading? Mina is doing quite well, but she's only 6 months ahead. She used to be a year ahead, so we've got to push her a bit more, but she's sitting down starting to read for fun by herself. You know, what's a book you're working on at the moment? I've got Atlas Shrugged I need to get back into, but I've got a long list of books I need to read. As always, thanks for watching. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.